Thank you for taking some time for yourself. And as you settle here now, you don't have to do anything at all. In fact, it isn't necessary to even notice your body or your thoughts or how tired you might feel. You don't need to fight the heaviness, and it isn't important whether your mind wants to or doesn't. Without really trying, your nervous system will begin to notice, just on its own, in ways that you don't even have to control. Perfect. Sometimes, without knowing it, you've already been carrying that hopelessness, like a shadow that doesn't even knock. And you don't need to worry about it, or explain it, or fix it. It's just there, showing up uninvited, like it always does. And maybe you've noticed how exhausting it is, how it makes everything feel all or nothing. Like if one thing is wrong, everything must be wrong. And of course, that makes perfect sense. Because tired minds respond that way. And you don't need to do anything about it. You don't need to force yourself to understand why, or when it started, or how long it's been there. In fact, it isn't important to follow every thought, or listen to every voice, because some of it just wants to wander through your awareness without permission and without really trying. It'll just happen all by itself. And sometimes, without noticing, the mind begins to label itself, like it's too late, like there's nothing left, like it's never enough. And without needing to resist, you might find yourself noticing that even those thoughts aren't the truth. They're just habitual patterns that have been repeating. And noticing them doesn't require any effort at all. You don't need to make them go away. You don't need to respond. You don't need to understand. You don't need to fight. You don't need to analyze. Without knowing it, your nervous system can already soften. Without knowing it, your mind can begin to let go. of some of the pressure, without knowing it, relief can begin. All by itself. And you don't need to do anything to make that happen. And you might even notice how strange it is, how easy it is to just allow, to let the heaviness, the hopelessness, to simply drift past without having to chase it, fix it, or even care about it, because your mind, without trying, knows exactly what to do, and it's already starting. Even as you hear these words, even as you relax, you don't need to do anything about any of this. Not now. Not ever. Because some things just happen all by themselves. And maybe you'll notice that without trying. Some ease is already arriving right now. You know, I want to tell you something that happened to me. Maybe you've heard this story in one of my other hypnosis tracks. It was late. I was tired. The kind of tired when you already know you should go to bed. And I actually remember thinking, just go to sleep. But instead I did that thing. One last click. And it was a clip connected to ancient aliens. A man introduced himself as someone who had starred in over 100 episodes. And immediately the tone was confident, assured, and then the claims started. This will be the fastest fighter jet ever made. It's a Mach 4 air dominance fighter. There's nothing better than this. It'll wipe you out before you even notice. It can cruise at 100,000 feet at Mach 4. We can produce 2,000 of these. It replaces everything. Unlimited laser shots, multi-megawatt range, transparent metal, revolutionize everything from cell phones to fish tanks. This is the ideal solution. Nothing else compares. And I noticed something happening inside me. Because I was tired, instead of calmly thinking, has this been built? Has it flown? Have they sold one? But my brain didn't go there. It went somewhere else. It went to, am I behind? Should I understand this? Why does he sound so certain? Am I missing something important? There was this subtle panic, not because of the aeroplane, but because of the certainty. And as I listened to him confidently say, the flyaway cost per unit is $85 million, I noticed my mind racing, thinking, that sounds almost too good to be true. Because in reality, even advanced jets like the F-35 often cost well over that per aeroplane, not counting development or maintenance. And that's the moment my tired brain started panicking. The numbers felt so certain, so precise, but they weren't the whole picture. He said, we've already flown at thousands of hours digitally. We're beyond stealth. We don't even use radar absorbent material. It's more maneuverable than an F-22. It's better than everything else. You don't want to take second place. And when someone says things in that tone, absolute, global, dominant, a tired brain can feel small. It can feel slow. It can feel like it's not keeping up. And I realized something the next morning. The company has never actually built one. They've never sold one. It hasn't flown in real life. It exists in simulations and confident language. But at midnight, that distraction didn't land. Because fatigue turns specificity down. It turns up emotion. And I saw something important. Major depressive disorder talks in the same way. It says, nothing will change. You'll always be like this. Everyone else is ahead. There's no point. Global, absolute, certain, just like there's nothing better than this. It dominates. It replaces everything. And when you're emotionally tired, you don't ask for specifics. You just feel overwhelmed. But the next morning, rested, calm, with my thinking brain back online, it sounded different. It sounded like marketing, like projection, like big language without lived evidence. And I wasn't so dumb the night before. I was tired, and that's a very different thing. So sometimes when the mind says, nothing will ever change, it might just be 11:30 at night in your nervous system. Maybe the kindest thing is go to bed, because tired minds believe match for promises, and rested minds ask for proof. And and you can just let that settle. And now, as you simply rest here, you don't need to do anything at all. You don't need to try and change anything or figure anything out. And in fact, it isn't necessary to even notice all the thoughts that drift through your mind, because some of it already registers naturally, effortlessly, without effort. You might notice, without trying, how certain patterns, old habits of thinking, sometimes feel heavy, like they take up more space than they really need. And you don't need to push them away. You don't need to fix them without really trying. It will just shift all by itself. And as you notice that, a new perspective may begin to appear without any conscious effort, like stepping back and seeing a larger picture, or like noticing a color in the background that changes the whole scene. Just noticing. And perhaps without trying, you can allow a subtle sense of steadiness to grow, a quiet awareness, a resource, an inner knowing that's always been there, without needing to prove it, without needing to chase it. You can simply be present right now, and as that awareness spreads, even just a little, you may find that it naturally becomes easier to notice how patterns of thought, of perception, of attention can shift and flow without conscious effort, and that you can carry this sense of ease quietly, internally, whenever it's needed. And now, without trying at all, you might imagine your future self moving through any situation with that inner steadiness already present, and without having to do anything. It just arrives automatically, effortlessly, and each time it does, a little more calm, a little more clarity, a little more ease will naturally become part of you. And now, in a moment, Without struggling, you can begin to return to the present, bringing with you this quiet resource, this internal steadiness. As I count gently, specifically from 1 to 5, you'll open your eyes feeling refreshed, grounded, already knowing without needing to prove it, that this awareness, this calm, is always accessible. 1, feeling a little more present. 2, noticing your body in this room. 3, steady, calm, grounded. 4, carrying this inner resource with you. 5, eyes open, awake, alert, and already integrating this ease into the rest of your day. Stretch out, take a few deep breaths, wriggle your fingers and toes, and open your eyes. Welcome back. You're perfect, just as you are.